The present day Marvel Cinematic Universe, aka the MCU, has continued to try and live up to the Infinity Saga in continuous hit and miss films and series. As a solid Marvel fan in both comics and projects, I still try to remain hopeful towards what will happen in the newest upcoming films and series, specifically the newest one that's coming this July. But due to the fact that every Marvel film and series is connected one another, is there anything we need to know before we watch this? Well, you've come to the right place. This is JMTS Covers What to Expect Before You Watch Deadpool and Wolverine. Welcome to the first episode of What to Expect. For those of you who are new to this channel, allow me to explain what I have in store. You see, JMTS Cover serves as my own personal space where I can share with you guys, the viewers, what I like to do for fun or like my interests and hobbies. Some of which contain me singing songs from my past cover videos, but this channel isn't just going to be about that. Rather, it will also focus on me narrating or analyzing different topics of my interest, which I'm about to do in this video. There would also be some videos where I would like to cover different tutorial subjects like math or science, or even some covers where I would like to explore different places or events. But we'll get on to those subjects later on. Whatever the topic may be, this channel will definitely cover them. So to be sure to be updated, be sure to hit that subscribe button and always be sure to like and comment in every single one of my videos. With that said and done, let's get started. So for those of you who aren't aware, are aware, and were aware, allow me to give a brief update on what the Marvel Cinematic Universe or the MCU is all about. So as you can see, dated back way in the 1960s, Marvel Comics has always been known to have a variety of characters like Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, and so on and so forth. Despite the fact that comics were already skyrocketing back in the day, people decided to bring forth the heroes into the modern day of entertainment so that kids and adults in the modern age can fully appreciate them in real life. To the point that a man named Kevin Feige decided to not only produce introductory films, but rather connect their story one after the other to the point they form one single storyline and bring them together in an entire saga, thus forming the Marvel Cinematic Universe we know today under the biggest company of superhero films, Marvel Studios. From Iron Man until Endgame, Marvel successfully pushed the boundaries of superhero movies to the point that up until this day, new projects are being developed for the fans to be excited for, some of which live up to the hype, some of which are mid at best, while the rest are just, well, let's just say Marvel has become inconsistent with their quality nowadays. It's becoming worrisome, to be honest, to the point that some diehard fans are just giving up on the franchise, some of which are just bashing it online, while some are just taking it too personally. Honestly, I don't know where I should stand here. But basically, I'm still hopeful. You wanna know why? Well, that is where the newest film takes into play. The one and only Deadpool and Wolverine. Now, why is this a big deal exactly? Well, Deadpool Wolverine is a big deal mainly for two reasons. First, it will bring clarity into the X-Men franchise's timeline. And second, it will finally introduce the X-Men into the MCU we know today. Let's go to these reasons one by one. For the first reason, I can honestly say that the X-Men films makes no sense. Like, the main timeline of the films do not connect with the prequel timeline. Like, it doesn't make any connection whatsoever. Even I don't understand, and I'm usually the one explaining to my entire family what's going on in every single superhero film. It was at that moment I knew I had to stop. So, going back to my previous reason, I believe that Deadpool and Wolverine will finally fix the confusion of what X-Men used to represent through one thing and one thing only: multiverse. So, allow me to explain to you guys the X-Men timeline's continuity in each and every film. So based on everything I've watched, I can say that there is a different timeline between one universe into the other depending on how you watch the different X-Men films. The realities in which the films of X-Men Origins Wolverine, X-Men, X2, X-Men The Last Stand, and The Wolverine are set in one reality, while the films of X-Men First Class, X-Men Apocalypse, and X-Men Dark Phoenix are set in the other reality. That way, there's no confusion what's happening and what's in the other. These are the two sets of films where you can properly understand their continuity. But here's the kicker. There is one film where these two realities meet, in which it is best watched after The Wolverine and right in between X-Men First Class and X-Men Apocalypse, and that is X-Men Days of Future Past. You might be asking yourself right now, why is Days of Future Past set in between these two realities considering they are separated from one another? Well, here's a short synopsis of what happened in that film. That way you can properly understand why it's still set in between those two timelines. The X-Men, including Professor X and Magneto, devise a plan to save all mutant kind by ensuring that they won't let Mystique, a former ally of the X-Men, kill a scientist who experimented on various mutants, thus allowing the government to use her DNA as the key to eliminating every single mutant in the world. In doing so, they placed Wolverine's consciousness into his past self, so that he can communicate and join with the younger versions of Professor X and Beast to save mutant kind from the brink of abuse. As always, they succeeded to the point that our present-day Wolverine is back safe and sound in the X-Mansion, along with all the other familiar faces of the X-Men films. However, as this new future comes to light, the consciousness of the past Wolverine comes back, making him unaware of what was going on once he was fished out by Stryker, or at least it looks like it was him. Thus continuing the experiment proper of him being injected with adamantium and then utilized and kept as Weapon X, which was exactly the plot from X-Men Origins Wolverine. It just happened in an alternate timeline. So either way, the timeline is still intact when it comes to Wolverine's backstory. So by looking at this link from Days of Future Past, you can say that the what was once called prequels of the original X-Men films now simply serve as an alternate timeline. So you don't have to worry about whether or not there are so many continuity errors or whatsoever. Just think of it as an alternate timeline. That way you can finally see the clarity of each and every film and each and every film's story going on forward. Now, since I managed to separate the two sets of films, you're probably asking right now, where do Deadpool, Deadpool 2, The New Mutants, and Logan take place? Well, based on what I can see, I can safely say that these set of films are separated from another reality than which it may or may not be connected with any of the timelines, including Deadpool and Wolverine. Now, why is this film set in between that? Well, this is where my second reason goes into play. This is how Deadpool and Wolverine will play into the X-Men franchise along with the MCU's timeline as well. In the first teaser of Deadpool and Wolverine, we can see here one series element managed to bring Deadpool into the MCU, and that was the group of guys in orange and black suits who were trying to talk to Wade. This group is called the Time Variance Authority, that is extremely evident in Loki. Who are these people exactly? Well, in the simplest terms, they're basically time cops of the MCU. They're the people who ensure that the time anomalies or variants or anything that's not supposed to disrupt or exist in the canon events of a certain timeline or the sacred timeline is contained or removed by any means necessary. So with that being said, what did Deadpool do that brought upon the TVA's attention? Well, do you remember the end credits of Deadpool 2?
Walk away! Just walk away! You're welcome, Canada.
Well, that alone is already enough to annoy them. You're probably wondering why Deadpool is not connected with any of the X-Men films. Well, judging by every Deadpool film I've seen, which are just basically two of them, he always jokingly never specified which timeline he was set in. Considering the main universe had a different version of Deadpool in Wolverine Origins, and the prequel universe just featured a cameo that didn't make any sense, considering those characters served as the ones set in the past but managed to reach the time where smartphones and modern day gadgets were already in place?
Well, that's just lazy writing.
So it's best to assume that Deadpool and Deadpool 2 are outside those continuities. That way, you'd avoid any confusion whatsoever. The New Mutants and Logan, on the other hand, just specified that they were both set in the future when mutants were already in the brink of extinction. So it's not really clear if they have any connection with the main timeline and the alternate timeline. It's possible that they can be set in the main timeline since that's where Logan's Professor X actor, Patrick Stewart, portrayed, while it can also be set in the alternate timeline because it was teased in X-Men Apocalypse that they were able to store Weapon X's or Logan's blood in the Essex Corporation, in which that was the exact corporation that experimented on so many mutants, thus creating X-23, aka Laura, or Wolverine's daughter, and X-24, aka Buzzcut Logan. Phew, I'm gonna need another drink after this. Barkeep, another round. So, by piecing out all the information we've gathered, I can safely theorize that Deadpool and Wolverine will just be a separate film that will not affect the X-Men continuity, but rather focus on how their characters, along with the X-Men and the mutants, will be brought into the MCU's multiverse saga. So all you gotta expect in Deadpool and Wolverine, by simply using the TVA's ability to step foot in specific realities, Wade will simply just find the Logan he needs from a specific timeline and bring him back in order to fulfill the mission he was tasked to do. And as we can see in the trailers and TV spots that were posted, it will also feature some familiar X-Men characters and cameos that are very iconic in the X-Men movies and comics, but their presence will not be directly correlated to the past films, but rather serve as both fan service to the solid X-Men fans and introduction of the mutants in the MCU. And that's simply all you need to know before you watch Deadpool and Wolverine. Thank you so much for watching this video, guys. I really appreciate it. But if there's anything unclear for you guys, kindly leave a comment down below and I'll be happy to reply as soon as I can. And whether it will be music, stories, or entertainment all over, welcome to JMTS Covers. Thanks for watching!